Okay, so you know how much you like to stay in the loop, right? Like keeping up with what's going on. Well, today we're going to do a deep dive into a story you might have seen bits and pieces of. It's about British rapper Young
Young
Philly.
Philip.
Yeah, young Philly, real name Andres Felipe Valencia
Uh,
Barrientos.
Right. And there's this news report. We've got some pretty serious stuff coming out, new allegations and all that.
Definitely.
So we're going to unpack all that today, lay out the facts as we know them, and try to make sense of it.
Sounds good.
It's a bit of a tangled web to untangle. First off, there's this whole thing happening in Spain, some fresh accusations coming out of Magaluf.
Right, and those allegations are running alongside his existing legal issues in Australia. It's a lot to keep track of.
Exactly. So let's start with what we know about the Magaluf situation. A British tourist, around 20 years old, is accusing young Philly of rape. It seems they crossed paths at a beach club where he was performing, and then later at a nightclub.
okay.
Yeah, the report says she claims there was inappropriate touching at the
Oh.
club.
Okay, and then it gets a bit more complicated. According to the report, the woman had consensual sex with one of Barrientos' friends and then went to Barrientos' room. It was there, she alleges, that the rape took place.
Now,
Uh-huh.
it's important to remember that this is all happening under the Spanish legal system. And that means the investigation is behind closed doors. So we're working with limited
Oh, no.
information at this
Oh.
point.
Right, which makes it all the more important to be careful about what we say. So how did this even get to the Spanish authorities?
Well, it looks like it started with the UK police, who then passed it along to the Spanish Civil Guard. And that's how it ended up in a court in Palma.
And there's another layer to this. The Spanish judge has apparently reached out to Australian authorities about possibly questioning Barrientos.
Oh, wow. So it's getting even more intertwined.
Yeah, it looks like they might want to talk to him over there, too, considering he's already facing charges in
Oh, yeah.
Australia.
Oh, right.
So before these new allegations in Spain even came to light, Barrientos had pleaded not guilty to 8 charges in Perth.
8 charges.
8 charges.
8 charges
Stemming
of it.
from something that supposedly happened last September. We're talking assault, impeding breathing, sexual penetration without consent, really serious stuff.
That's heavy.
It is. He was arrested in Brisbane, then they extradited him over to Perth, and he was released on
Oh.
bail. A pretty hefty sum, I might add.
How much was it? Do you remember?
Something like 48,500 pounds.
Yeah.
Big money.
Yeah, it's a
And
big
you know what
money.
he said when he left the court after being granted bail?
What?
It's a lovely day.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Bit of a jarring statement given the circumstances.
Totally.
Anyway, he's due back in Perth District Court on June 13th for a trial listing hearing, according to the report.
Okay, so June 13th, Perth. Got it. Is there anything else from the report?
Well, they also mention a reckless driving conviction. This happened last October while he was out on bail in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia it happened.
He was caught going 97 mile per hour in a 62 mile per hour
97
zone.
miles.
So basically speeding like crazy.
Oh.
Pretty much. He pleaded guilty, got a fine, and had his license suspended for 6
Okay.
months.
Well, that's something, at least.
Yeah, but obviously pretty minor compared to the other
Mhm.
stuff. It's easy to forget, amidst all this, that young Philly, he's got this whole public persona, rapper, YouTube personality, works with Beta
With the 2 million
Squad.
subscribers.
He's even been on some big BBC shows, Soccer Aid, The Great Celebrity Bake Off for Stand Up to Cancer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that.
So it's interesting, isn't it, that he hasn't made any public statement about these new allegations from Magaluf.
Oof.
I guess he's probably laying low, letting his lawyers handle everything.
Probably a good call, given everything going on.
Absolutely. So to sum it up, this is shaping up to be a very complex situation. You've got these new allegations in Spain that are being investigated in secret, and then you have the existing charges in Australia. It's a complicated legal landscape to navigate.
Definitely. And it's a challenge for us too, right? Trying to get a grasp on all this when legal proceedings are happening in different countries, each with their own way of doing things.
Exactly. I mean, we're just getting these fragments of information, these glimpses into a much bigger picture.
And the whole thing might not even be clear for months, maybe even years. Who
Huh?
knows? Makes you think about the whole idea of due process. It's important to let those systems play out, respect the legal processes in each country.
Yeah. And on the flip side, we can't lose sight of how serious these accusations are. We have to remember that there are real people involved and there are potential victims at the heart of all of this. It's a lot to think
Yeah.
about.
It really is. It's a reminder that there are always different sides to a story. And it's up to each of us to think critically about the information we come across, to reserve judgment, and let the legal process run its course.
Couldn't have said better myself.
It's a lot to digest, but hopefully this deep dive has shed at least a little light on what's happening. We'll be sure to keep an eye on things as they
Yeah.
develop.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Okay, well, that wraps up our time
Okay.
for today. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.